Hey guys, Kevin here with JcrOffroad to provide you with a quick product update on our JL rear fenders. So we redesigned these and they're now made out of lightweight aluminum. However, the installation process is going to be the same as our previous design, so follow along to that video and get yours installed.
Hi guys, this is Alex from the JcrOffroad garage, and today we'll be installing these JL rear fenders. So we're going to start by removing this factory plastic inner fender here, and to start we'll take out these 4 Christmas tree clips. I'm going to use this dash tool that we have here in the shop, but you can use a flathead screwdriver or some needle nose pliers or anything that will remove these clips. After the first 4 are removed, we're going to remove these other 2 that are up here hidden under the top of the fender. Now that the inner fender clips are uninstalled, we can remove this as one piece with the inner and outer fender still together. We'll do that by just pulling up and out against the Jeep, and these plastic clips that hold the fender in should let go. You may break a few of them, but lucky for us, we're throwing this away. After you have the fender uninstalled, some of these white plastic clips and maybe this Christmas tree clip up here might have held on after, so we're going to use this trim tool and remove those before we install our fender. After you remove the stock inner and outer fender, if you're choosing to reuse the stock plastic inner fender, you can drill out these 8 plastic rivets with a small 1/8" drill bit, and then separate your stock inner fender. Now with this stock inner fender, we'll place this back in here and temporarily install 2 of the Christmas tree clips on the inside of the flare that we removed. And now we can mark this to use with our fender. Now with the 2 Christmas tree clips temporarily installed inside the flare there, we'll hold this up into its approximate location, and this is where we'll mark this to figure out where to cut it to install it with our fenders. So I'm holding it up tight against the Jeep, and I'm going to use this paint marker, or a Sharpie would probably work, anything that shows up on this plastic. And I'm going to mark, without marking the Jeep, right down the body line. Now I'm going to leave part of this bump here to mount the inner. So I'm going to mark up this ridge and be sure that I leave just this surface of the inner fender. Now I'll continue marking. And do the same thing on this. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing out and cut it on the line so we can reinstall it. Alright, now with the inner fender cut, I have it reinstalled here, and like I said, this was the piece we left on that mounting surface, so we can reinstall that Christmas tree clip, and now we're ready to start drilling some nutserts. So now that we have the stock inner fender cut and back reinstalled, we're going to drill our holes for our fender to be installed with our nutserts. I have a 17/32 drill bit here, and we have 7 holes that we're going to drill out, the pre-existing holes in the body here. There's this one here in the corner, and then this one and this one. There's 3 in the front here, here, and here. These 2 are going to get a flange nut. You don't need a nutsert for these 2. And then back here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 will all get drilled out. So I'm going to start doing that now. A tip for drilling these nutsert holes: if you go in forward speed until you're almost through the body and you feel the drill start to catch, you flip your drill to reverse and go full speed through the hole. It'll cause the body not to tear quite as much. All right, now that I have the 7 holes drilled out to 17/32, I'm going to use this supplied nutsert tool to install the nutserts in those 7 holes. When you're doing this, you're going to want to apply a small bead of RTV to the base of the nutsert, and that's going to seal up the connection between the nutsert and the Jeep. So now I'm going to use a 1/2 inch socket with an 11/16 end wrench. Push the nutsert all the way tight against the Jeep. I'm going to use an 11/16 end wrench to hold the nut, and then tighten up this 1/2 inch bolt until I feel the nutsert crush completely. When I'm doing this, I'm holding the head of the ratchet. I don't have my hands way out here. You don't want this nutsert to get crooked or it won't line up with the hole in the fender. All right, now that I got that tightened up, just flip the ratchet in reverse and take out your nutsert tool. If I did that correctly, the threaded portion of the nutsert should be perfectly centered, and we should have got a nice even crush. Looks good. Let's move on to the other 6. The rearwardmost hole here, when you drill it out, you're going to have to actually go through 2 layers of metal. There's a layer a little farther back that's going to prevent you from fully installing your nutsert, so make sure you drill through both pieces on this location. Now that I have the 7 nutserts installed, it's time to put this fender up there and start installing the bolts. I have 2 5/16 button heads and 2 flange nuts here. I'm going to set the flange nuts aside. The easiest way to install this fender that we've found by yourself is to put these 2 bolts through the top 2 center holes. You may have to lift this up to do this. And once you have them through, you can hang this fender by the top 2 holes long enough to start your flange nuts on the back side. All right, now that the fender's partially installed and hung up on these top 2 bolts and loosely fastened, we're going to install the other bolts underneath the fender here. In your hardware pack, you'll notice you have 2 1-inch long bolts and the rest are 3/4 inch long. The longer bolts are going to go in this frontmost location here. The way the Jeep curves in, there's a bit of a gap here, so to get this bolt started, having the longer bolt will help get that secured. So I'm just going to loosely install that, and then I'm going to move around from one side to the other and get all these bolts started. You can use just a regular ratchet with a 3/16 hex wrench, or we found that there's also this tool. It's a 1/4 inch ratchet wrench, but it accepts these universal bits, and we have a 3/16 bit in there, and this is a ratcheting wrench, so it helps you get in a lot tighter spaces. Not necessary, but it's helpful to do this install. I'm just going to tighten these down until you can't go any farther. All right guys, now that you got all the bolts installed, go back through one more time, verify they're all tight, and make sure you put anti-seize on all the bolts that go into a nutsert. That will help get them back apart if you ever have to uninstall your fender for some reason. Also, we understand that nutserts can be kind of a pain. If you had any problems with installing your nutserts and getting them to line up, you can view the link on the screen above, and it will show you some tips and tricks on how to align the nutserts better and make sure that they go in properly. Other than that, if you have any issues with this install or any other install, you can give us a call at 269-353-1184, or you can email us at tech@jcroffroad.com.